Fine. Okay. Remove Twitter. And we're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your patience. As with anything, sometimes there's just technical difficulties, whether it's a microphone, your computer, whatever it is. But we're here. So, welcome to another episode on Veteran Lifestyle Magazine. Today, we have a really awesome guest. I'll talk about how I met him, but I'm just for what he does and who he is. It's just really cool to have him on here, and I can't wait for you to meet him. So we're gonna go ahead with it, and we're gonna introduce Ray Palousek.
Hey y'all.
Hi Ray, how are you doing?
Never better. How are you?
I'm a little stressed out, but you know how things work.
Yeah. There's always one thing. It's always going to be one thing, exactly. It's never two, it's just one.
It is. You get some really cool, expensive microphone, and then it decides it doesn't want to connect, and then you jumble with cables, and super fun times. So, thank you for being patient.
Of course.
So I wanted to apologize in advance. We don't have our co-host today because he too is having technical difficulties. So it's just that day. It's like a Monday, but it really isn't. So we're just going to go with it. So thank you everybody who's watching and listening and supporting us. We really appreciate it. So, yay. We have our first. Here's our team member, Ryan Hunt. Thank you so much for being here. So, all right. Really quick, I met Ray at a singer-songwriter competition in Temple. I knew another artist that was singing that day, and we stayed for the whole event, and everybody got to showcase their song and to do a cover. And so, lo and behold, Ray won the competition. And so I immediately went up to him and I was like, dude, why did I say dude? But I said, hey, here's my card. Call me if you want to be interviewed, because I was just amazed at the talent that was there. Being a very small independent artist myself, I just love going and watching other people because I always learn. And I was like, holy crap, Ray is pretty damn good. So he is actually a pianist, a singer, a songwriter, and a music educator from Holland, Texas. He has 15 years of experience already. He holds a bachelor's degree in jazz performance from Middle Tennessee State University. He has also a former cruise ship musician of 5 years. That's nuts. I can't wait for him to talk about that. Also, he's played in over 48 countries and territories. He now resides in Texas, where he plays all genres of music all across the state. And he is the resident pianist at Steiner Ranch Steakhouse in Austin. So if you're in Central Texas, and you want someplace that's really fancy to go to, listen to music and watch him play, go there. So thank you, Ray, for being here. So let's talk about, how did you find that you had this love of music and you wanted to write and play the piano and sing and all the things? How did that even start?
Well, the love for music in general came from my father, who is also a musician. He's a Texas Steel Guitar Hall of Famer, steel guitar player, obviously. So from a young age, he was my mentor, still my number one mentor. As far as playing the piano, I think because my brother plays the guitar, my dad plays anything with strings, and I just never really took to the guitar. When I was a kid, the very first guitar I owned, I did like one of those stage tricks, and I smashed it on the ground, and after a spanking, I didn't get another one, so figured can't do that with the piano, it's too heavy. So I wanted to learn piano, loved it. Singing, songwriting came very late for me. I'm talking maybe during college, I started writing songs because I found that I really enjoyed words and creating things, and also the feeling of being able to get some feelings out of yourself. You know, it helps you as a coping mechanism. Writing, psychologists, all of them will tell you that journaling even is very helpful for mental health. So writing, singing was a product of the pandemic. I always had pitch, but just not very good technique or vocal confidence. And when that pandemic hit, I needed to do everything that I could to continue to make money playing music. And there were just doors opened when I started singing. So that was really, and then I found too, I guess, that singing is really a big part of my sound, and I never realized that before. So that's kind of how I came into all four of the things you just mentioned.
So you say singing, it it gave you some perspective of your sound. So can you explain that a little bit?
Oh yeah, sorry. In jazz college, we all want to find our sound, our artistic voice, right? And I struggled to find mine. And then I started singing, and I feel like the combination of the vocals and the piano is like, that is my sound. I think I finally found it. That's what I mean by that, is it's me at my best.
That's really cool. That is really, really cool. How did you How does songwriting come to you? How do you find the melody, the harmony, all that? Because I know for me, I can write words down, but finding just the instruments and all that in the background, I have a hard time with that. So how do you do that?
It varies. Sometimes the song will come from something I'm playing on the piano. Um, and you know, from the piano chords, I'll hear a melody, and then I think, man, I need to put words to this melody, so it'll be kind of backwards. Sometimes I'll write, and it'll just be lyrics, like you're saying, and then I try and figure out the rhythm of the lyrics, the stressed and unstressed syllables, and see how it feels rhythmically, and then it turns into melody and chords after that. And as far as inspiration for the lyrics, comes from personal experience, people, anybody that's made me feel anything. That's kind of where my lyrics come from.
You make it sound so easy. And it's really awesome because you have, how many songs do you have out?
I have 9 out so far.
Okay, you have 9, and every one of them is different. It
Yes.
takes talent and just an experience to be able to make sure that everyone is different, and that's crazy to me. I don't know. I love it. It's just crazy for the rest of us, because I know Tammy Moses said here that she can write the words, but it's the musical part that's just it's difficult. So,
right. All right, Tammy, come hang out sometime. I'll try and help put some music to your words.
Okay, Tammy. So you're gonna come to Texas? I think it's I know I share a lot on my social media about music, how it heals, it's powerful, the words, the rhythm, all of that is just such a powerful tool. And I know for me, every time I sit at this computer, the first thing I do is I pop open Spotify. I want to listen to something, whether it's one song, 2 songs, 3 songs, whatever. That's what gets me going and makes such a difference in how my day is going to start.
Yeah.
Do you practice? Do you write every day? Do you practice every day? I mean, what kind of things? How are your days as a music artist?
Okay. As far as practicing and writing every day, no. I need to be better about it. But when I was in college, and I would ask the same question to people who were professional musicians, they also said no. Most times, it's because I practice by doing. I do play 6 nights a week, and that's usually 3 hours of piano. So I'm behind the piano constantly. And then writing, I think we talked about this before. I really admire true songwriters who can just pull a song out of their brain like it's nothing, and then you hear about all these people whose process is to write 100 songs and then pick the best 10. And I just haven't figured that one out yet. I just am not a very practiced songwriter. The lyrics come from from the inspiration. So I haven't written a song. I haven't completed a song in a few months. I've got bits and pieces of stuff. So it's not every day, no.
I think I know I need to be inspired, like you were talking about before. I can't just write it just to write it. Like I have to really feel it, and I know sometimes I get lazy because there'll be times where I'm already comfortable in bed and I want to fall asleep, but then something comes to me and I say, "Oh, I'll figure it out. I'll write it in the morning." Never do that. Never
Nope.
ever do that because come morning time, I forgot everything. So I get really pissed off. I'm like, I should have wrote it down because I felt it right then and there. Even like voice notes. Oh, you should sing
Yes.
into the phone. It sounds silly, right? But if you put it in there, then you'll remember that that's kind of the melody that you wanted.
I do that all the time. And it's frustrating because the only time I guess I think critically is when I'm driving. So that's when I remember, oh, shoot, I was supposed to call that person back, or, oh, I need to pay this bill. But also that's when I get my ideas. So I've gotten really good about the voice memo, or just, hey, Siri, write this in notes, you know? And it's been nice because now I've got a bunch of notes of like one line, and one day maybe it'll turn into two, and then eventually into a whole song. So yes, absolutely, document it immediately.
The amount of times I've yelled at Siri to do something, to write this down for tomorrow at noon, write this down for today at 12, whatever, I have to do it right then and there. So thank you, Siri. And
Yes,
AI
thank you, Siri.
and all that crazy stuff that helps us while we're driving. John, many creatives have a secondary outlet so they don't burn out on their primary. Oh, good question. What's yours?
That is a really good question because I consider burnout quite often. And in terms of creativity, a secondary outlet so they don't burn out. A secondary outlet, okay. So I play a lot of video games. Recently, I've finally started exercising again. Just mainly doing anything that doesn't concern music. I take one day off a week and I won't take a business call. I will not sit behind a piano. So creative outlet is, I guess, or a secondary outlet, I would say, is quality time spent somewhere else other than music.
I love that.
That's a
And
good question. Wow. Thanks,
no,
John.
gosh, John, you got to be all smart and stuff. That's such a great idea. I don't want you to, we've talked about this before, but I want everyone to know just because for your age, you are so intelligent that the rest of us old people can learn from you. Can we just share your age so that we can be like, what?
Yeah, I'm 27.
27, you guys. And already he has just a vast of experience for all over the world. Before I ask you about your whole cruise ship life, I remember us talking at Pluckers while we were drinking. You guys, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was just water though, right?
It was a big thing of water and some wings. You spoke about how you taught yourself to sing from YouTube.
Yes. Okay, so YouTube is the ultimate music education resource. I'm very proud that I went to college and I learned a lot. And I would say from a college education, the best thing I got was the relationships that I built. But as far as the education part, everything you need to know is on YouTube. If you are self-motivated and you're committed to learning, YouTube is an excellent resource. So when I started singing, I was looking mainly at two things. I was looking at vocal technique, and a great place to practice your vocals is alone in your car. So vocal technique that I would practice in my car, and just what song should I learn? And a lot of people have good opinions on what music you should be learning. So yes, YouTube. I learned to sing from YouTube lessons. It says you're muted. I don't know if I can hear you anymore.
Oh no, that was me. Sorry. Okay, yes, I was. See, life. I used to sing in high school, but that was a million years ago. And so I've recently gotten back into it, teaching myself again, learning breath techniques and all that stuff. But I need to go to YouTube because I'm just amazed. How long did it take for you to finally be comfortable to sing in front of people after teaching yourself on YouTube?
I would say it probably took about a year. It started pre-pandemic. I had been practicing, and I was slated to sing "Friends in Low Places," just one song with the cruise ship band, and I was so nervous. And then the pandemic shut it down, and I didn't have to. So then I would bring my friends over, and I'd sing them, a song or two. Wow, you have a great voice. You should sing. And it what helped me is it did take a long time to have the confidence, but it's best to ease in there. Don't go and put yourself out there for 3.5 hours. I would go on, back when I had a residency at Dead Fish Grill in Belton, I would play background piano music, as I do now. And then I would just sing one song, just sing one song. And you look around and it's not everybody's in tears because it was so beautiful, and it's not people throwing tomatoes. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, and then somebody comes up and tips you and requests, "Do you know this song?" "Well, no, I'll go home and learn it." And that was kind of the confidence. It was a very slow, gradual thing.
I mean, that's so great. So were you nervous at the singer-songwriter competition in Belton or Temple?
No.
You were not?
No.
Okay, that's really cool.
Not because I was confident or anything. It's just, you make the most of it. I wasn't really there to win, to be honest. There are a lot of incredible people to meet, and I've performed in so many capacities now that the performance anxiety doesn't really happen. The most important thing I am is I don't take anything I'm doing too seriously, and especially now that I work in the piano bar sort of scene, it's really about having fun and making sure people are really resonating with what you're doing up there.
That's really good. It's a really important little tip for the rest of us who are. I always get nervous, and I've spoken in front of people quite a few times, but every time I still get nervous. I still get sweaty palms. I feel like, oh my God, what if they don't like it? But then I say, you know what? Just go up there and just do it. Just do it, right? I mean, you were asked to do it, so just go do it. Be yourself.
Right.
That's just me. Okay, now I want to talk about your cruise ship life for 5 years. Tell us how it started, and then how was it? I know I was fascinated. I was like, can I go do that? Can I just leave all my dogs and just go on a cruise ship for 5 years?
Well, I don't consider myself a former cruise ship employee. I call myself a former pirate because, we just travel around and drink a bunch of rum and other things. But that wasn't all it. So it was just great timing. I just graduated college. My first job was to be in the Air Force band, and that fell through. So once one of my friends from college heard that, he put me in touch with an agent who hires for cruise ships, and they auditioned me via something like this. And so I guess in October 2019, I took my first cruise ship, and that was in Hawaii. And I loved it, and I loved Hawaii, and I was in the band back then. So I spent probably, and I say over the course of 5 years, I was really at sea about 2 years because there's that big pandemic in the middle. But yeah, it was a really nice experience, and then growing, salary increases, getting promoted, and then eventually winning the piano bar job on the ship, which I did for about a year. So that's kind of how it started. Yeah, it was a really, really good experience, a great way to save money. I didn't have any girlfriend tying me down. I didn't have any family, no dogs, no lease. So I would pay, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks a month to store my car for car insurance storage, and about a $50 phone bill. And that was my total expenses. So the rest of my salary went right into savings or whatever I wanted to spend it on.
That sounds so fun. Were there activities on the cruise ship? Like, did you ever find yourself getting bored where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore? Because 5 years is a long time.
Yes, that's eventually. Well, I didn't really quit because I was bored, but you do run out of things to do because as an employee, you're not necessarily entitled if they would have let me in that casino, I would have lost my whole salary and had so much fun every single night. But they didn't let the employees in the casino, no pool time. I could go to one of the ship bars, or I could go to um, like to get some coffee or something, and that was about the activity level. They have a crew bar for us downstairs, but it's not open during the day, so that's only a nightlife place for crew. And you can go to crew bar, or you can find somebody to play cards with at night, because we're at sea. It's not like you can go to port, or you can go to bed and watch movies. So over the course of 6 months, yeah, you do get pretty bored.
So how about when you guys, you say dock, when you guys dock?
Mm-hmm.
When you guys end up in a different, at the different countries that you were at, when you guys docked there, how long did you have to explore?
It depends, because there's duties. Sometimes we have something called IPM, import manning, and for safety issues, some people can't get off the ship that day. Sometimes it's not walkable, so it really depends on what you have going on. But on a good day as a musician, I would say you could probably have 5-6 hours off in a port, which is plenty of time.
What was your favorite destination?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Barcelona because it is my favorite city in the world. Barcelona is lovely.
That sounds so cool. So, okay, that if you had, so that was your favorite one out of all 48?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's easiest to say. It's a hard choice, but yes.
Yeah. Oh, what did you get what, I can't even talk. What did you get to do in Barcelona, and did you have a favorite food or a favorite drink? Like, we want to know.
Okay. In Barcelona, I'm going to butcher the name, paella. Anyway, their native dish, it's like rice and seafood and basically a cast iron with some fresh vegetables. I got to have some authentic Spanish food, which was delicious. The Spanish, surprisingly, what surprised me is they make incredible beer as well. So trying some beer, trying some sangria, in moderation, of course. I would never overindulge. And just walking around the city, I bought one of my favorite souvenirs is I found in a music shop, I found a book of like music, of sheet music from a Spanish jazz guitar player. And it was like he had written over like 500 songs. So I bought this book and I thought that was very unique. Then also they have this erotic museum, and I just went in there because I thought it'd be fun. They give you a glass of champagne and you walk through and you see all these very, very sexual things, but like in a historic educational way, like torture devices, lingerie from the 1850s, things like that. So it was hilarious, but very unique and educational. Walking around the streets, seeing the Sagrada Familia, which I think I'm saying that right too. And then another time I went with a friend to the beach, and because I tried to go to a casino, but I didn't have my passport on me, so I couldn't gamble. And there was a vermouth festival, so there was bands playing, and I don't like vermouth, but we went in and walked around and sampled some stuff, ate some food, drank some beer, and just walked the beach. There's so much to do. It's such a big city.
That sounds amazing, though. And first of all, paella is so good.
Yes.
Paella and ceviche are like my two favorite things in the whole world. Did you learn how to play anything from the book that you bought?
I just read them, just read them down. I would actually, there was a couple times on the ship where I would have to play background music, so I would bring that book and I would just read some of his songs. And just anybody that can write 500 songs already, like that's really impressive.
It really is. And to be able to get it from that side of the world, I think is even more special too, because that's so
I would
cool.
bet that nobody here has it. I bet I'm probably the only person in the United States that has that book.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. Now I have to see it.
Yeah, I'll bring it to you next time I meet you.
That is so awesome. What do you? I know. There's something else I wanted to share. I wrote this down. Your your mantra, which is very inspiring to me, is you said, "My fulfillment lies in being creative." Can you expand on that for the rest of us who wasn't privy to our conversation at Pluckers?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, my fulfillment comes from creativity and in music. You try and find like a real purpose, and fulfillment can be hard at times because you'll go play those gigs and make no money with nobody listening. And I don't think any musician should reasonably have the goal to get rich and famous. Like, what motivates you, what fulfills you? I realize that as long as I can continue to be creative in any capacity, whether that's writing songs, whether that's even when I'm playing background music at the steakhouse and I'm trying to put a new spin on an old song, or improvising or coming up with a way to get the crowd engaged. Creativity in any form. That's what fulfills me. So that's what I'm looking for every opportunity that I have to play music.
That really hits my soul, because when I embarked on this mental health journey after I retired in 2016, but it took me about 9 months to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up. And I'm still learning that. But
After you retire.
I really did, because there was a whole other world out there. I was like, well, I did this for 17 years. Now I got to go grow up somewhere else. But I tried to create several different platforms, different outlets for us to share our stories and talk about things. And I often used to have people who would, naysayers, and they would say, well, how are you making money off it? Are you going to make money? And, what's the end goal, or what do you plan to do with that in the future? And for me, I was fulfilled knowing that I could help someone else. If I could save someone's life by letting them have the space to share their struggles, then that's all I needed. It wasn't about getting paid for it. It wasn't about making money. So for you to say something like that in the music world, it's beautiful, because now I'm trying to do that with songwriting. I want to share my story in the form of a song. I want to help other people share their stories in the form of a song. And it's just like, it warms my whole heart. So I was just so grateful that you said something like that. And again, I'm not making fun of you at all. I'm just saying 2749. Like, we have such different views of life, but yet very similar.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like you have an old soul, and I think it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm just still like fascinated with the way that you think and the way that you do things. And I think there's so many of us that could continue to learn from it. So I definitely want to share that part, because I wrote it down. I was like, we're talking about that, because that's deep. So for anybody out there who is struggling in the things that you're doing, whether it's being an entrepreneur or working or whatever you're doing, remember that you can have that. You can be fulfilled by being creative in the space that you're in, because I don't want anyone to be like, we all are going to have our struggles. We're all going to try to figure out what we're going to do with our life and how we're going to make money. But let's remember that it's the little things that matter, that can count.
Yeah. Absolutely. Amen, sister.
You're so fun. So what are your goals next? Like, you wrote 9 songs. We did talk about whether you were going to make an album or not, and I believe you stated that wasn't really an interest to you, that you were going to wait. It was EP and albums. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about that?
Yes. So I just don't have enough songs at any given time to flesh out a whole album. And I guess in summary, what I mentioned was not a lot of people are doing albums other than for the whole concept. If you have the concept of an album and you want to make a statement with a series of that many songs, great. But commercially, the way people are consuming right now is really singles. And what an EP is just a shorter album, basically. So I have 2 EPs out. I have one 3-song and one 6-song. And so as I continue, I'm going to go the EP or the single route. Actually, I'm going to the studio on Monday to record 3 more songs. I can't wait, including the one that I sang at the contest. And I think that those will be released as singles. I haven't decided yet, but and the reason being is, unfortunately, if you're trying to play the game of commercial music, you get, I think, a higher shot at achieving the algorithm if you spread your stuff out. I can release an album, and that album is 1 unit, or I could have released all 10 of those songs as 1 unit, you know? So that'll be what happens from here on out.
No, I like that way of thinking. I don't have the patience to wait to do an album. I want to like release a song right now.
Yeah, that too, right? Could you stand to have something in the studio for up to a year just waiting on it, you know?
No, I can't. I want to release it right now, but I think you're right. Like sharing your songs individually, and then maybe later you could do like a re-release of what Taylor Swift did, right?
Genius.
She
Yep.
did all that. I know. That's a whole other level. But it was smart in her the way she did it. So I mean, there's no saying that we could do that later, but I think for now, individual songs is the way to go, because I don't want to wait a year. I want to do it now. I want to hear it now.
Yeah, and part of her genius there was there was an issue with her getting her masters to her own songs, but she still owned the song. She just didn't own the masters, so she re-recorded them. That way, she could be receiving the royalties, and then did them in a new way. You know, it was just so genius. Taylor Swift, go pop off some more. That's amazing.
I know, that's so cool. So with that being said, do you like being an independent artist, or would you want to at some point sign with a label?
I'm indifferent. I know what a label means, and also I know the fame and the popularity it can bring to people. We'll have to cross that bridge if it ever happens. But I'm not going to fight as an independent artist or anti-label or anything. But if it's also not a good deal and I read the contract and I have to sell my soul, I probably wouldn't do that either.
I agree with it. And I know this is completely different from book writing, but when I published my book, I had to be very careful on looking at big publishing companies and thinking, do I want to sign with somebody who's going to have the rights to my book, or do I want to sign with somebody who's going to let me have my rights to the book? And that's such a big difference, because you could look at big labels and be like, oh my God, look at all the money, look at all the fame, look at all these things I can get with it. But that means I have no rights.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. So yeah, no, I think it makes sense. And you cross the bridge when it comes in. It's cool. It's really cool. So what other plans can you share, or goals that you could share with us for music for like the next 5 years or so?
Okay, next 5 years. The general goal is I want to work a little bit less. That way I can save time for more meaningful gigs and more quality time with family and friends. So actually October, I'm doing only half of my residency at Steiner. As I've deemed it, I'm reinvesting my time. I think that I can go be making the money somewhere else and have a little bit more time off too. So, I mean, 5 years, I don't have any specific goal, but I would hope that in 5 years that I would have released maybe about 10 songs at least. And I'm really digging Texas. I've only been home from the cruise ship it'll be a year, October 1st, actually. We're coming up on only a year I've been home, and I've made some serious ground. So I kind of want to see how my career develops here in Texas. So I think I'll be here. Next 5 years, you could probably see that I'll still be here in Texas and still be writing songs, just better.
Sweet. All right, cool. I know one of my goals. Well, not. I mean, for me, it would be an honor to try to do something with you. So that would be really really awesome.
Okay.
I would love it. So I'm going to practice singing with you too, so that I can be worthy of your time. So you're not like, girl, what are you doing? Or maybe I just write and you sing, because that's cool too.
Well, I have listened to some of your music. Your daughter has an amazing voice. You should have her sing it. And I love the production, especially I don't remember which song it was, but you had some cool hi hat stuff going on, and like the painting. Like, yeah, I can tell that your education paid off.
Thank you for that. It's really hard being in the background producing on a system like that. I use Logic Pro.
Oh, okay.
So for those of you who don't get it, it's okay. It's a digital audio workstation, and there's several different types. I have Logic Pro, and so I have to go in there. And I know you guys who are friends with me on Facebook have seen certain things that I share. It is not for the faint of heart. Like, you have to learn how to do. I have a coach, or I still use one of my instructors to help me produce, because it's hard. You don't want to just put out something that's trashy, like crap. You got to work it. So anyway,
I see a lot of people actually, they just want to start like that. They don't play an instrument, so their creative outlet is, I want to produce. And the very first time they sit behind a DAW and they don't know how to do anything. I mean, that's me too. I don't know very little about audio workstations.
I tell you what, when I went through the 6 months of intensive schooling, I cried. There were days where I cried. I pulled all-nighters, and I had mental breakdowns. So I was like, forget this shit.
Just part of the job.
But then when you go back and you see the end result, I cried again, because I was like, oh my gosh, I did this. I created this, and it's so freaking awesome. And that's what I want to do. I love it. I love it. So yes, we'll have to work on something for sure.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So, well, thank you so much, Ray, for being on here. I'm so glad that I ran into you at that competition, and congratulations again on winning it. Congratulations on all the songs that you've done so far, and for the future, it's going to be so great. But for those of you guys who want to follow him, I know a lot of you are on TikTok. Won't even play with me. I know you are. So go on TikTok and find him, because I'm on there.
Yeah.
And then go on Instagram as well. I know you can't see that, but just search his name. You'll find him.
Yeah.
And Facebook too. You can follow him. Follow him on Facebook too. So, but I do have to do our little. I do have to go into business stuff now, and I do have to mention that I would love for you guys to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media, and our podcast, obviously, because this will be transferred into a podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music and Apple Music. Also, thank you so much for Parade Deck and Veteran Social Summit for sponsoring our show. If you are interested in participating in Veteran Social Summit, it is 4 to 5 December. You can register. You can register for that. And let's see here. I have other things to talk about. Okay. And please share any information that you feel would be beneficial to the show. And if you have any comments, you want to reach out to Ray, you can find him at his social media and send him a message. Or if you want to book him for a show, you could do that too, I believe. If you want. I would recommend it because it was great. Thanks again so much. Follow us on all social media. If you have anything, reach out to us. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next show.
Peace out, y'all.